think it's important to control your thoughts really, and also control what you're dreaming. And really, I think it's really important to be conscious and aware of yourself at all times, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
And well, if you're not conscious, sometimes you're sort of likely to make more mistakes, aren't you?
Yeah. You've got to be in tune and
your mind
on point. Yeah.
More likely to sort of fall over on some ice or do something that's not right if you don't concentrate and focus. If you sort of mean. So it's really, I mean, it's like cooking. If you're cooking something, it's really important to focus, because you don't overcook it or burn it or whatever. Or So I think conscience is a really quite important subject, really. To talk about.
Definitely.
Like a lot of people really are sort of focused. I mean, I got certain things that I like watching on TV, or used to anyway. I kind of like giving up TV a bit, I kind of like watch YouTube, if anything, now. There's sometimes I need to, I think it's nice to watch a nice film, or it gives you some sort of escape, doesn't it? I think, to watch some, a good movie, let's put it that way. But I think like some people overdo it, and they lose their unconscious mind because of it. Because they're always busy focusing on other things.
Got too much.
But you have to focus on yourself in life, really, rather than let everything else destroy that.
Well, you have to have kind of downtime to kind of like process all the information and everything else that you've been taking in as well. Because like you said, if you're constantly even with music, let's say for example, you can listen to music for a certain period throughout the day, but after a while, you don't want to be hearing someone in your head constantly.
After a few hours, you need to get away.
You have to have a bit of peace and quiet, some silence, and do something else, and have a break, and
It's really important actually to have those peaceful moments, isn't it? So you can have your conscious mind. In peace. Alone. I mean, it's my favourite time, to be honest with you, when I'm completely away from noise or anything, or any documentary, because I think it's good for the conscience to watch a good documentary or a good podcast or something that's educational, basically. Something that's bringing you forward.
Stimulating.
It might bring you forward. Even this podcast might help some people bring forward, consciously, sort of make them better in life tomorrow somehow. Because I mean, it's really important, because like I say, I do know, because I mean, I used to sort of watch telly a lot myself, and then I used to go to sleep sort of thinking or worried about whether that person's going to die. It's only sort of a program that you're watching, do you know what I mean? When you think about it. And I feel like a lot of people do get completely lost in the entertainment world, when really it's all made up. It's all sort of like a fairy tale, most of it. I mean, some things you watch are true stories, if you sort of mean. Some films are based on true stories, and they're very interesting to watch. And sometimes I feel like watching these things, it does benefit your unconscious mind if you learn from it. And you better yourself from it somehow by what you've watched. But you can drown yourself in a kind of way with what you watch, can't you? Do you know what I mean? Like I say, it's really important to have a little bit of time for yourself to meditate.
Yeah, your mind needs that break, doesn't it?
And also then, let's say, it's important to get a good sleep in each day. Then it's also important to keep awake. And meditate for an hour and a half. And dream. Daydream, And it's also important to eat each day, do you know what I mean? And it's also important to be conscious all day and focused.
Productive with your time. And
so it's no good being sort of like, because I I used to be lazy, a lot like lazier than I am sometimes, you know, and I kind of like feel guilty about being lazy, do you know what I mean? I don't like being lazy anymore, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm pretty strict about it, do you know what I mean? I might be lazy for maybe half an hour, you know, sometimes, you know, a week, but I'm just pretty strict because, you know, another thing, we've got to keep ourselves strong every day, do you know what I mean? Or even get ourselves stronger if we can, if possible. You know, I want to get myself stronger tomorrow than I am today. Well, that's possible, you know.
Yeah.
And you've got to be conscious about what you're eating, about what you're drinking. You've got to be conscious about keeping yourself clean, haven't you? You know, there's so many things, really. And you've got to be conscious about the people that you love around you all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to be conscious of your children all the time, you know, now they're being born. You know, it's another job that you've got made yourself. You know? Yeah, you know, it's interesting, the conscious mind, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So I think like too many people are really sort of watching too much TV, if you ask me. They're not creating anything for themselves or getting anywhere.
Not really using their imagination or anything else like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not being, yeah. That's the trouble. Sometimes people take in too much information that it's just too much to process, and they kind of get lost, kind of like in the midst of it all. You need that balance between, you know, being, you know, it's great, like, because I'm very much like that, and my mate's very much like that as well. He's very much like that. We both are big on educating ourselves and learning more, and, you know, just, you know, have kind of like a thirst for knowledge, if you see what I mean. And always kind of have done, really. But at the same time, you have to find that balance between the two and realise that you still have to live in reality. You still have to get on with your life. You still have to handle your responsibilities. You still have to do everything else, you know. So it's, you know, it's one of those things that you make time for it when you know, when you've got the time, you know. Like everything else, you try to fit it in the schedule, so to speak, you know. So
I feel like you've got to do your best in life. That's what, you know. That's all you can do, really. In life, really, is improve on who you are, or whatever you are. Make yourself better tomorrow in a kind of way, you know. And even I'm trying to do that, you know. I know that I'm not the wisest person in the world, or I'm not the best cook in the world. That's for sure, you know. I mean, I know to cook, but I don't want to be professional about it. Do you know what I mean? I'm quite happy knowing what I know.
yeah.
And maybe I might pick up something in the future if I'm lucky, you know, if I come across it, you sort of mean.
Yeah.
I'm kind of happy-go-lucky in a kind of way, you know, but so it's really, you know, you can choose what you want to learn in a kind of way, you know, or what you want to see. And I think you really, you know, me personally, I'm getting a bit tougher on that, you know, like those three monkeys, well, it used to be four actually, see no hear no evil, and do no evil, and all that kind of stuff, do you know what I mean? And keep your eyes away from, I can't explain it, but, you know, just, if you like, for instance, if I sort of like this week, I've just had quite a beautiful week, it's been in nature, do you know what I mean? And I just sort of like control my week in a kind of way, you know, like I keep away from the town a little bit more, do you know what I mean? Or, you know, and you can control your being.
Yeah.
I feel. And I feel like if I've been lazy, say, like say if I was lazy today, my conscience is going to feel pretty guilty, I think, you know, because I haven't done anything. That's the thing. That's how I feel. I don't know about you.
No, I'm the same.
I mean, I'm quite happy to reward myself with lazy days sometimes, you know, and it's kind of good to take off and have a nice day, especially if you've got a girlfriend or a wife or something, you know, and have a day off, be lazy together, you know, and have fun together, you know.
Do something. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of, you can create a baby together, you know, so you can be creative together without sort of doing any drawing anyway, you know, or anything like that. You're creating a baby together. And
create a whole life.
You're having a lazy day in bed and you create a baby, you know.
In the process,
I feel like you can create things when you are actually being lazy. Do you know what I mean? You're lazy and in bed, but you're dreaming of a really good movie that could be very successful. Do you know what I mean? So it is possible to have a good time in bed and do something that can earn you a heck of a lot of money, to be honest with you, by doing nothing at all. It's providing you've got the money to pay for all the makeup artists and so on, and make the movie go ahead, you can make money by being in bed. That's the truth.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
You know, that's the truth. You know, as long as you've got the money to.
Well, I was going to say,
your dream.
Most of my songs and stuff that, most of the songs that I write and I record end up getting recorded, like, I usually write those in bed, to be very honest with you. I'm usually sat up in bed, you know what I mean, with just chilling out, you know what I mean, my headphones in, my earpods in, and just, a beat playing, and then I'm just, sat there on my bed, literally sat up in bed, just writing.
Yeah.
It's true.
You're aware of what you've done so far, aren't you?
Yeah. And even the other day, like I had to contact there's a new guy that I want to use for doing some artwork, because I've seen some of his stuff and he's done some really, really good stuff. So I've contacted him and I've sent him all my ideas in reference to each one that I want done, because there's 3 different ones that I want done at the moment anyway. And even once I sent him all the details and everything, he was like, wow, he's like, mate, like, you've given me so much information here, if you see what I mean, giving me so much information, so much guidelines as to actually what you want done and how you want it done and how you want it to look, and what you want me to include in each one, and etc. Like the creative bit behind behind it all, and he said to me, like, it's helped me. He said, like, he said to me, like, thank you so much, like, you've helped me tremendously as to what I need to do, if you see what I mean, for you, if you see what I mean, to make you happy as a customer, if you see what I mean. Like, he said, not many kind of like clients and other people usually come with this much information. He said they usually got some kind of like vague idea, but not like a really like descriptive, like really like introspective breakdown, if you see what I mean. So it's true.
I think like some people are more conscious than others.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but why I was talking about that though is I was referencing the whole thing with you, like sometimes where you are daydreaming, like sometimes if I do daydream, it's usually in reference to something that I've got going on. So it's giving me ideas. I'm sat there thinking, racking my brain, thinking about.
So I mean, when you're dreaming, really, you've got to think about ideas or positive things that is going to bring you forward somehow.
Yeah. Well, it's quite funny though, because it's like, even though like I do music and that's obviously like my main kind of like forte, but like it's almost like, even when it comes to my artwork and other things, like I can always visualize it in my head. If you see what I mean, like I can always see it in my head, if you see what I mean. So when I tell one of these people that I'm asking, like I'm paying them to do something for me, I can already like see it in my head beforehand, if that makes sense. I can already kind of visualize in my head how it's going to look.
Got an idea.
How the final product is going to come.
Because you thought about it.
Yeah.
That's why to come up with ideas, you've got to really sort of think deeply about them. And the more I think you deeply think about it, the better the idea can be. In a kind of way. An idea can have so much energy in it, can it? Really,
sure.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when you got money. Say I had loads of money. You kind of got to be conscious about it in a kind of way. Of your own wealth.
Yeah.
Or some people are rich, are quite wealthy, and they're trying to sort of like, they've got lots of expensive stuff in their home, and they're quite worried about it, and they're quite conscious really about their belongings. That's what I'm trying to say. If you see what I mean. A lot of people get, it's like when you buy a car, say for instance, a new car or something. That car becomes part of the body in a kind of way, doesn't it? Not that I never got a car or anything. I'm just sort of saying, if you get a car, it becomes part of your body. And if you're driving, I know, because I've driven a car before, whatever. But when you're driving a car along, it becomes part of your body, and you sort of be consciously aware that your body is a bit bigger now in a funny way.
It's kind of like man merging with machine.
Yeah. You with me? You sort of like, because you get in a car, it's sort of like you got to change your kind of conscious brain. thinking in the kind of way, you know, that your body's now a bit bigger. Now you're going a bit faster in a kind of way. So I think like even the faster you drive, for instance, the more conscious you've got to be really.
Of course,
think, you know, it's no good falling asleep at the wheel, is it? You know
well, I was going to say, if you're going to be choosing to drive,
lazy.
if you're the type of person that is going to choose to drive fast and choose to do certain things that you might not necessarily supposed to be doing when you're driving a car, then like you said, you have to be a lot hyper aware.
So say you hit someone, do you know what I mean? You know, like
you have to have
young girl
very fast reaction speeds. You've got to be like a master. Don't get me wrong, there are some people out there that are actually trained. Like obviously you get like stunt drivers and all these different type of people that drive in like films and movies and all these type of things, if you get what I'm saying. And these are professional people, if you see what I mean, that have learned over the years, that have honed the craft of being able to drive at ridiculous speeds but still be fully in control of the vehicle and be safe, if you see what I mean, and do everything that they need to do in a safe way, if you see what I mean.
Well, you know, I mean, to me...
But that is few and far between.
To me, I've never wanted to pass my test, okay?
Yeah.
I've never really been, you know, like, so I feel like I've got a bit more conscience than most people have, okay? And I think conscience mind also links with compassion a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, that's what makes me very conscious, you know, because I've always been very compassionate, you know, about more compassionate than most people are, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't help it, do you know what I mean? I don't like seeing rabbits hurt, do you know what I mean? And I feel like if I was driving a car, for instance, you know, and I hit something, do you know what I mean? I'd feel so guilty about it, do you know what I mean? You know, especially if it was a young girl. You know, maybe a hedgehog, it wouldn't be so bad, but, you know, like, that's how I feel that, I don't know how people can do it in a funny way, because it's like, you know, taking too much of a risk, do you know what I mean? Because things happen.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Well, you know, when, you know, people, accidents, you know, are they accidents, or, I kind of like, I don't call them accidents when you're putting two dangerous machines on the road, do you know what I mean?
Well,
they are dangerous, you know, and when you're driving one, you're driving a dangerous machine, do you know what I mean? And that is the fact of the matter.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know, and it's a very dangerous, beautiful machine, I must admit, you know, which man amazingly created, like I said to you before, whatever. But at the end of the day, you know, there's so many people and animals that die daily, in the millions each year, you know what I mean? You know, it's like, humans ain't got conscience anymore, you know, they you know, like, you know how many cars on the road today, do you know what I mean? Millions, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, to me, I feel like humans ain't got any conscience anymore, do you know what I mean? I feel like, to be honest with you, I feel like, because I've studied ants, okay, when I was a little boy, or still do today a little bit, but ants have got more compassion than humans have, you know, and that's what I see, you know, with my own eyes. You know, because I used to look at ants, and they're so caring, do you know what I mean? You know, especially about their little eggs and all that, do you know what I mean? They're so compassionate about one another. But humans got no compassion about nothing, you know, or a lot of them have, do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I think it's a mixed bag, isn't it? You get people who are very conscientious and very loving and caring and empathetic and have compassion and sympathy and love and...
Well, sometimes I wish I could have what I got, do you know what I mean?
But then, on the other hand, you also have people who are on the flip side of that.
I wish I was like everyone else sometimes, do you know what I mean? But I'm not.
Yeah.
I really wish I was like everybody else in a funny way, you know. I mean, even some people that I know, right, that drive the car, right, they love animals, do you know what I mean? And they're very compassionate.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, even so, you know, it's like, for instance, you know, like, would you get a hammer, and if you saw a beetle there, would you go like that? You know what I mean, with a hammer? And most people would say, no, I wouldn't do that, you know, that's cruel. But they get in a car, and it's the same thing, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, that's the logic behind it. People don't care, or they think, well, everyone else is doing it, so I'm going to do it.
And that's what it is, and also they think to themselves, you know what, the convenience outweighs...
It is.
The convenience outweighs the
That's what I mean. Humans.
The collateral damage, I guess, per se.
A lot of humans today are so comfortable. I mean, even I am today. You know, you think about how comfortable, like the materials they make today are much better than they were 300 years ago.
Oh, of course, yeah.
They used, I mean, for beds, they used to use horsehair. Imagine that, yeah. You know, people used to sleep the horses because they were warm and things. You know what I mean? But today we're kind of like living in a palace, a world of comfort. You know, double glazing, and I can't explain it. You know, but a lot of people, not everyone, mind, you know, but we've got it better than we think we've got it. Anyway, you know, like I mean, like for instance, King Henry VIII, whatever. Yeah, I know my bed's a lot better than his. And I've got central heating, do you know what I mean? He ain't got that. And I got, do you know what I mean? I've got TV, you know, he didn't have that. You know, I've got a lot more than King Henry VIII. And, you know, I've got electric blanket. And, you know, he didn't have all that. I expect you have a pillow, right? He had a pillow that's made of horsehair.
Well, isn't it funny that how times have changed so much to the point where the average person might live better today than the average king did?
Exactly.
Back once upon a time.
Their clothes were uncomfortable back then.
In terms of comfort, in terms of warmth, in terms of everything, if you see what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have £150 trainer they'd got on or something on their feet, do you know what I mean? And it was top quality design that was designed by computers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They had horrible, uncomfortable shoes that they probably had to change every week.
Yeah.
Or like bandages that they
wrap around their feet to
you know,
keep them protected. And
like I said, the material used to be very uncomfortable, especially for the peasants back then. Apparently, you know, they used to sort of, do you know those sort of potato sacks?
Yeah, sackcloth.
That was top quality sort of in thing. And,
you can imagine how rough that is on your skin, mate.
Well, even if peasant had that, that was good compared to being, you know, not having anything. Do you know what I mean? Being cold. Do you know what I mean? You know, a blanket made of potato bags was a luxury for some people, if you sort of mean, you know. And I mean, at one point you couldn't wear purple or red. You know what I mean? You know, there was some sort of clothing with colours. You know, when they first brought dyes.
Those have always been kind of like really associated with royalty, haven't they?
Yeah.
You know.
But you know, you can imagine when clothes first started being dyed. Basically, you know, they started discovering different colours from dyes. You know how to make dyes. Like apparently purple is made from snails. You know, so they kill a lot of snails to make purple dye. You know, and when that's the most expensive material apparently to buy. I think they use different things today in this modern world, but that's what they used back then, snails.
Okay.
You know, and to get something dyed purple was very expensive. Do you know what I mean? And only somebody royalty would be able to afford something like that. Do you know what I mean? And then they made sort of like laws if anybody else wore this colour. Do you know what I mean? It's off the head.
Yeah.
And things like that. I don't know. Do you know
Off limits. Yeah.
You know. But yeah. But I'd feel guilty. Do you know what I mean? About driving a car. You know, because I mean, especially if I was doing it a lot.
Yeah.
Day in and out. Do you know what I mean? Because something's likely to go wrong at the end of the day, I feel, you know, and whether it's your fault or not, you know, there might be somebody driving, some lunatic drunk on the other side of the road.
That's the trouble too,
you.
because you have to contend with all the people out there, all the other drivers out there, and a lot of them are bad drivers, you know. There are a lot of bad drivers out there, mate.
Yeah, but you, like, there you are being sensible, trying to be the best driver, not drinking or anything, yeah, and then some drinking idiot drives into you, do you know what I mean? You know, and it kind of affects your whole life, you know, especially if you've got your family in the car with you, do you know what I mean? You know.
Awful.
So it causes, you know, I mean, it's happened.
It happens a lot. Well, I was going to say,
I
think
they're so strict about drinking and driving.
But I think
people still do it.
But I think vehicular accidents contribute to the most deaths per year, don't they?
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that? I think worldwide, statistically, I think vehicular and road accidents contribute to the most deaths a year. If you see what I mean.
Probably why we need hospitals today.
Out of anything else, essentially.
I think it's why we need hospitals, really. You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy if you ask me. You know, because you can imagine like a world without this, like without cars, how safe the world would be, or we wouldn't have these figures each month. You know, I mean each year. You know, like it's in the billions barrels around the world that die each year. You know, it's not millions, it's billions. You know what I mean? But those figures wouldn't, if we didn't invent the motor engine, basically, we'd have a lot more birds in the sky. Do you know what I mean? You know, and we wouldn't hear any figures at all about any girls being run out, children or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You know, like I say, our world would be completely a different reality today. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't have been so noisy today. I think people have lost respect a little bit, you know, because they kind of drive, right? And I know that, you know, it depends who you are really, but like a lot of people I feel like they become zombies in a kind of way, you know, the more you drive, the more zombie-like you become in a funny way, you know, the less compassionate you get. It kind of makes you into a monster, you know, and I'm not trying to put people down here, you know, because I do respect a lot of people that do drive, you know, like for instance, you know, lorry drivers, they get our food to the, do you know what I mean?
Oh,
you know,
cool,
we need this, do you know what I mean? But I
we
just
rely heavily on,
what angers me, you know, more than anything is there's just too many people on the road, you know, and it's kind of like they try to make money out of selling cars, you know, to the public rather than being sensible about it. You know, look, this is a killer. Let's just be sensible about it. You know, let's get professional people only driving at a certain age. You know, that's got good eyesight.
that are responsible.
You know, not allowed to pass your test until you're 25. You know, because it's ridiculous, sort of like, you know, a bit immature when you're on the road at 16. Come on.
Well, the fact that you can drive a car at 16, but you can't.
Well, no,
you can't.
It is possible, right?
Yeah.
You know. I was taking lessons at 16. That's the truth. Yeah, and I can drive a car. You know, but the thing is, it's too risky. You know, and
but I'm just saying,
you're endangering a child's life for letting that happen. You know,
it's a little bit contradictory where you tell children they can't smoke or they can't drink at 16.
Yeah.
But they can drive a car that could potentially kill themselves or others.
That's
you see
right.
What I mean?
You know.
Not saying that that's going to happen. Obviously, that's the worst case scenario. No one wants that to happen.
Well, when you're 16, you're a bit hyper at that age. Come on, let's face it, right? Not all 16-year-olds, you know, and I'm not saying some 16-year-olds are pretty wise and very intelligent, you know, they know, some of them probably know more than I do, whatever, yeah. But getting them behind the car is risking their life. You know, and I think that's a wrong thing to do in a kind of way, you know, for someone that's so young and just into the world. But, you know, not just that, when you're 16, you're a little bit high. You know, you don't know much about life. You know, you don't, and you kind of go a bit too fast, and you know, you're trying to prove something to the other girl and all this kind of stuff, and you behave